Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Now, y'all honestly didn't believe that they would have some Saints breaking news and your boy wouldn't go live. I know y'all ain't think that. But thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast where we talk New Orleans Saints. I do apologize for the late live, but I went to the gym, worked out a little bit, then went to the store, and there was a full moon that was here in Myrtle Beach, and I just thought it was cool. And my son was at home, Paxton was at home, and I just decided to hop in the car and try to chase this moon, because where we're located at home can't see it. So I thought maybe if we can ride around the neighborhood, we'll see it. Unfortunately, we didn't see the moon, but it was still great father and son bonding there. So that was fun. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Of course, for those that just rolled up, my name is Timothy J. Jones. I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about wide receiver Rashid Shaheed receiving a 1-year contract extension by the New Orleans Saints. This is great news, man. This is great news for the New Orleans Saints. This is great news for fans, because we all know what Rashid Shaheed is and what he means to the New Orleans Saints offense. This new offense, you got to be excited to see what Rashid Shaheed is going to do in this offense. And the fact that the Saints were willing to give him this contract, it pretty much just tells you that the Saints are committed to Rashid Shaheed. They value him as a player, and they understand that the way that he plays the game, a team will snatch him up. So that's great news for the New Orleans Saints. I think this pretty much solidifies him as that number 2 receiver for the New Orleans Saints. He had 46 receptions, 719 yards, and 5 touchdowns last season. And, this is a guy that, to me, wasn't really involved in the offense like that. He wasn't really targeted that much. To me, it seems like Rashid Shaheed, they'll have one play designed for him the whole entire game, which is a deep 9 route or something like that. He'll get behind the defense and he'll take advantage of that. That was one of the reasons I felt like the writing was on the wall for Pete Carmichael, because how in the hell do you have a talent like Rashid Shaheed? Every time this dude touches the ball, more times than not, something magical happens, something spectacular happens, and you only have this dude down for 1 or 2 targets per game. To me, that was a complete indictment on the coaching staff, the offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, as a staff, organization, and crew. That was pathetic. We all know what this dude can do. We all see what he can do. The first time Rashid Shaheed touched the freaking football, he scored a touchdown on a jet sweep. That tells you everything that you need to know. The guy is electrifying, and I think the Saints see that. I expect for him to have an uptick. I expect for him to be a 1,000-yard receiver, because I feel like Clint Kubiak sees this talent. He knows what he can do, and he's going to freaking knock it out of the park. I mean, Rashid Shaheed was an undrafted rookie. He came out of Weber State. The Saints kind of hid him out on the roster because he wasn't really fully healthy around the time where the Saints actually signed him, but they believed in the talent. Him coming out of college, he had like all the statistical records for a kick returner and special teams. Once again, the Saints activated him one game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the rest is history. The dude is a fan favorite. He always has that smile on his face like he's having fun. It just seems like he's going to ingratiate himself into the Saints culture. He's going into his third season. I think that he's going to be that fan favorite, like that Lance Moore, like that, like that Tracy Porter, like that Jabari Greer type guy, that fans just always seem to like, always got a beignet for him, always got a po' boy left out for him, for the free. This is that type of guy. And, it's great that you have homegrown talent like this. You know what Chris Olave is as a wide receiver. You know the talent that he possesses. That's the reason why you drafted him so early in the NFL draft a few years ago. And then you combine him with an undrafted guy, right? That goes to show you that the Saints and Jeff Ireland, his crew, did an amazing job at scouting. And the Saints really do a good job at finding these diamonds in the rough. We seen it with Deontay Harris or Hardy. A few years back, the Saints actually signed him. He kind of was a special teams type guy coming out of college, and he kind of ingratiated himself in the culture. I felt like the Saints didn't really fully commit to him because of his size, but I think that when you look at Rashid Shaheed, he got a little size on him. He can absorb some of those hits, and I think that Rashid Shaheed on certain situations, rather it's Chris Olave goes down or gets hurt, I think that he can fill in to be that number one receiver. But go ahead and look at the article. This is courtesy of Pro Football Talk here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on the screen so everybody can see it and we can read along. Let's see. Let me go to it. If you bear with me just for a second. This is courtesy of Pro Football Talk. And it reads, it says the Saints are keeping one of their key contributors around for at least another season. Per Adam Schefter of ESPN, New Orleans has agreed to terms with exclusive rights, free agent returner and receiver and return specialist Rashid Shaheed on a one-year contract extension. The deal is worth a reported $5.2 million. Shaheed was an All-Pro and Pro Bowler as a returner last season. He averaged 13.6 yards per punt return, scoring one touchdown. He also averaged 21.3 yards per kick return. He also caught 46 catches for 719 yards, 5 touchdowns, and rushed 7 times for 37 yards. After entering the league as an undrafted free agent out of Weber State in 2022, Shaheed has recorded 74 receptions for 1,207 yards and 7 touchdowns in 27 games with 14 starts. So there you go right there. Rashid Shaheed getting it done. Undrafted guy, kind of, came out of nowhere, unheralded. And now he's not only a fan favorite of New Orleans Saints fans, but he's a key contributor for the team. So congratulations to him. It's always good to hear success stories like that, giving guys an opportunity. All some of these guys out here need is a chance. Coming from these small FCS schools, give these guys opportunities, man. That's why, I lobby for, HBCU players. That's why I lobby for some of these guys in, the FCS. I mean, these guys are talented, but I understand, if you got a player that played at Michigan or Ohio State, you'll probably give them a chance before a guy from Weber State. But I'm glad that the New Orleans Saints looked at this guy and said, I think we got something special here. We can, we got lightning in a bottle. And, it's paying dividends for him. And, he definitely gave them a return on investment. And I think that's the reason why the Saints decided to lock him up for this one-year deal. I expect for them to come back to the negotiating table after 2025, probably give him like a 3 or 4 year deal. It's going to be tough because if he starts to contribute, you're going to have to ask yourself, what are you going to do with Chris Olave and him? There are cases like if you can work out some of these things that you're going through, it seems like the Saints are trying to get themselves back to the middle when it comes to the cap. So maybe around that time, you'll be able to bring both guys back. But I expect Rashid Shaheed to be and a 1,000-yard receiver this season. I expect for him to be an integral part of the offense, and I feel like Clint Kubiak and his staff will use him quite frequently because, I mean, why wouldn't you? Every time he touches the ball, like I said, he makes plays, and that's all you can ask for. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments here. Read some of your comments, and then we'll go from there. And also, after this show wraps up, I'm going to switch over to the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast and go live because there's a few topics that I want to discuss. Number one, I want to talk a little bit about a video that I saw with Stephen A. Smith talking about Skip Bayless, which I thought was kind of whack on his part. Also want to talk about Team USA almost losing to South Sudan today, and also Shaq Barrett retiring. So those are the three topics we're going to discuss on the Gumbo Pod. So if you want to hear some general sports, trying to hear a different perspective from yours truly, come on over. We're going to go live and answer some of your questions, and we'll go from there. Now, I will say this. I'm trying to keep the Saints, dialogue on the Saints channel, and, the NFL talk on another channel. So if you got questions regarding the New Orleans Saints, let's talk about it here. I'm gonna try to avoid. I ain't trying to avoid anybody, but I'm trying to separate it. And I understand there's a lot of people that subscribe to the channel come from over here, but I just want to kind of keep it separate, man. Talk a little bit about something other than the New Orleans Saints on that channel. So we're just trying to keep it. We're just trying to keep it kind of keep it formal. I went live on the channel yesterday in regards to Ryan Ramczyk because that's a big story. Ryan Ramczyk, one of the best right tackles in football. But if you into that, if you want to hear about Team USA, you want to hear this garbage about with Stephen A. Smith, come on over. We're gonna go ahead and talk about it on the Gumbo Pod. But I'm gonna read some of your comments here. See what you all have to say. First, I heard about it. It popped up on my phone by the Saints app. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, I saw it when I clicked on it, the page. And quite honest, man, I was out at the pool today with my wife and Pac, and we were out there for quite some time. Then we got back here, watched a few movies or whatever like that with Paxton, took a nap, and I checked out my phone. And that's when I seen the whole issue, not issue, the contract extension with Rashid Shaheed. And, of course, I wanted to do a show right away. But, man, I was like, man, I got to get this workout in. So I knew I was going to come back and do a show live. And thank you all for being patient. I know it's a little late. It's like around 9 o'clock Central Time. It's 10 o'clock here. But I definitely wanted to do a live because this is big news. And, what Rashid Shaheed means to the New Orleans Saints. Let's see. Jerry says, at the State of the Saints, glad you came on tonight, TJ. Not a lot going on a Saturday night. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm not a real, party goer or anything like that, man. I'm a homebody. I'm in a house, you know what I'm saying? I don't really go out too many places and stuff like that, unless it's just date night with my wife. But yeah, I'm kind of like a homebody, man. So it doesn't bother me at all to do shows like this. Honestly, when other things be going on, I'm definitely gonna be doing shows on a Gumbo Pod, especially when during college football season and stuff like that. Gonna be breaking down some of the big time matchups and giving some post game analysis on that. So I'm excited, man. I'm happy everybody's in here. I honestly didn't expect these many people to be here on a Saturday night, but I appreciate you all stopping by. Thank y'all for that. It means a lot to me. If Olave ran a 4.26, what Shaheed would have ran in a 40-yard dash if was healthy? I don't know, man. It probably would have been a 4.25 or 4.2, something. This guy's pretty fast, so yeah, he can fly. Let's see. Sorry, TJ, but the women's All-Star game is fire right now. We'll watch you later. Well, nah, that's okay, Josh. It's all good. And I mean, shouts out to the women's All-Star game. I know that's going on right now. But that shouts out to them. I think that's going to be an exciting game. I haven't watched it, but I'm probably gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go back and look at the highlights. OG, according to reports, IU feels disrespected by them, so he may be out of there. Well, look, I like Brandon Ayuk and Keen Arthur. I did a whole video on Brandon Ayuk on the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast channel talking about that. And when I think about Brandon Ayuk, I think about a guy that is kind of like a victim of arrogance on his coach behalf. Like I think Kyle Shanahan is full of himself. I think that Kyle Shanahan, when he looks at certain receivers and certain players, he feels he made that player. Like I can make another you. That's how I feel, and that's the reason why I feel they don't pay this man. But I respect the stats. I respect the fact that he gets better every single year. I respect the fact that he was a key contributor to the 49ers last season, and I think they need to pay him accordingly. But I can understand how those arrogant coaches who feel like, oh, they make the player, they don't want to pay him. But I feel like that's mad disrespectful because dude definitely deserves to get paid. Do I want to hear Stephen A. Smith? Well, look, I don't know, man, but I wanted to talk about it because I feel like what he did in his on his last podcast was just whack as hell. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, it was whack. Let's see, I believe Shaheed ran a 4.3. Yeah, I mean, but I think he faster than that. Like based on like the way I see him play, I think he's faster than that. Hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way in. I appreciate that, King Arthur. Please subscribe to the channel. Yeah, man, I be in the crib, ripped and ran for years. Got to sit down somewhere. Yeah, man. Look, ain't nothing really out there in them streets no more, man. Ain't nothing out there. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I like to go out, like go out to dinner, movie with my wife. But outside of that, man, I ain't trying to go nowhere. I really not. I like to chill in my house, man, with the air conditioner on. Playing some video games, hanging out with my son. I enjoy that, man. I enjoy that. Like, ain't nothing out there in them streets, man. For real, ain't nothing out there in them streets. Like, I'm not trying to, tell people to stay inside. Like, go outside, have fun and stuff like that. But I don't feel like going out every single week should consume you when you reach a certain age. Like when you like young in your 20s, man, go out there and have yourself some fun. But when you like almost north of 40, like me, you want to kind of just chill, man. You just happy to kind of get a little bit of break because you're ripping and running all week long. Going to the job. When school is open, you're picking. I'm picking up Paxton. All these other things, man. So you kind of happy when you get home. Especially like when you work all day. These ladies balling. Yeah, man. Let me see. Somebody tell me what the score is. Somebody tell me what the score is. During his touchdown against the Cardinals, he was clocked at 21.31 miles per hour. He clocked it between 40-yard dash, and his time was 4.3. Well, man, that man was flying. You flying if you over 20 miles per hour. What do you think they're going to do with Kamara? I think they're going to pay him. I don't think he's going to be the highest paid running back in football. But I think they're going to come to the table and come respectably, and I think that's all you can ask for. Yeah, we got to make sure that AK can be at camp. Yeah, I think they're going to get him paid. I can't see them like snubbing this man. I can't see it. I cannot see them snubbing AK. And I'm 30. Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, man, they ain't got nothing. Like, they ain't got nothing out here in these streets no more, man. Ain't got nothing out here. Like, what are you chasing? Like that's my question. Like, if you got if you're in a relationship, if you're married, like, what are you out here every week for? I can see like going out with your boys or something like that. Y'all go to a sports bar, hang out, or just going out there, just kind of shooting the breeze or whatever, like that, talking about life or what have you. But I just don't feel like, why go out like every week? You know what I'm saying? Like that got to get old and boring. TJ, why give him a 1-year deal though? Because it's kind of similar to like a high second round pick, So I guess they feel like number one, because of his contract, a team can outbid them and take him away from him. So by giving him this contract extension, it removes that restricted free agent tag from him. A team will go out here and throw money at him, right? And if they outbid the New Orleans Saints, then he goes to that team. But giving him a contract extension, now you locked him in, and they can't they can't pursue him. So that's what you were dealing with, King Arthur. That's the reason why they just kind of restructured this deal, because it's kind of similar to a rookie having like that 4-year deal, getting that 5th-year option, so to speak, right? But in 2025, you have to renegotiate his contract, which is what you're going to be doing anyway. If he's a player that's played like 4 years in a game anyway. So they kind of like just made sure that no team can actually mess with him. So that's the reason for the 1-year deal, which makes sense. It wouldn't make sense like to have this guy on a restricted free agent deal and expect for no team to try to touch him. So it was pretty smart on the Saints' behalf. Like, you're not where you want to be as far as with the money. I don't think it would be smart anyway, like with Shaheed, because the reality is like you haven't even really used him the way that he needs to be used. And I'm pretty sure Drew Rosenhaus is agent knows that, right? So you don't want to sign him. Like I wouldn't. Like, think about this, Keen Arthur. If you're a wide receiver, right, and you were kind of in there sporadically, but you were making plays, they're gonna pay you like you've been in here sporadically, but you making plays. So if he goes out here on his 1-year deal, he goes over 1,000 yards, like get like 7 or 8 touchdowns. Now you're putting yourself in a completely different ballpark. And if the New Orleans Saints don't pay you, then somebody else will, because they see the production. See, right now, if he was to like get a contract extension, it would be based on the production that he is giving you right there. And if you're talking about 46 receptions, 719 yards, and 5 touchdowns, like that's not like, that's not even really middle of the pack type of money for a wide receiver. Like, you're not going to get paid for that. So honestly, he would be selling himself short by signing a long-term deal. See, this contract right here is kind of similar to what you actually give a high-end second-round pick. So that makes sense. So go back to the negotiating table after you go over 1,000 yards and you get more targets, because now the Saints have pretty much told everybody that you're the number 2 receiver. I mean, everybody knows it now. Like, we were like, who's going to be in this lineup? It's pretty much set in stone now. It's the Olave and Shaheed show. Those are your 1 and 2s in 2024. Everybody else, like the Cedric Wilsons and the Bud Means and the A.T. Perrys, them boys going to have to go out there and try to compete. But Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, those are your lock 1 and 2s right there. So it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense on for Rashid Shaheed, because if he was a second-round pick, he would have got that anyway, and he would have been capped. And it gives you an opportunity to go out there to make yourself more money by being more productive. So there you go. Already read that. Scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, 45 years strong over here. I'm too old for the ish. In my Danny Glover voice. I'm too old for this. Let's see. Years back, I used to go out and hang out with my brother and sister-in-law while they DJing. But now a lot has changed. Now, years later, for me, I love being at home on a Saturday night. Yeah, man. Look, I love, like, man, if I was around family, like, don't get me wrong, like, I love, like, when I go to my in-laws house in like Alabama, having a good time with them, you know what I'm saying, playing spades, cards, and something like that, like just having a good time, even at home, you know what I'm saying. But I go home, be around my family, like, man, I ain't really go out like that, I don't. I don't know. I just never really had like a need to really go out. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of different in that regard. Like, I don't feel like, I'm gonna meet, like, even before I met my wife, I ain't never felt like I would meet the woman of my dreams at no club. Like, seriously, like, like you probably out here having a good time, and you probably got yourself so inebriated you won't remember that you even had my number that night. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why would I want to do that in the first place? But all in all, man, I mean, different stroke for different folks. People have different agendas when they go out. That's fine. But as for me, man, I just never really just been a club type. Even like when my boys, like, man, we ain't really just go out to clubs. Like, we'll probably just go out to like a bar or a restaurant or something like that and just kind of sit around and and chill. You know, that's the vibe for me. You know, that's the vibe for your boy. So TJ, do you see him getting a Carl Granderson type deal? If he's productive, yeah, I do. If he's productive, I do. You know, I think he would get a a big deal. Now, if he knocks it out of the park, the issue that you face is him being pursued as a number one receiver for another team. It's kind of like that Trey Hendrickson thing, right? You know, Trey Hendrickson had that monster year the year before he left New Orleans, and Cincinnati paid him that big contract. He basically outpriced himself. So that's the battle that you're dealing with, because you got to think about it. Him and Chris Olave came into the league at the same time, and you're going to have to pay Chris Olave because that's your number one. So my advice to the New Orleans Saints is to do what they've been doing. It seems like they're trying to get the cap back to the middle, not making big commitments to anybody. So around that time, maybe the Derek Carr deal, is kind of off the books. Maybe you find yourself a rookie quarterback. Maybe Jake Hayner is still hanging around, or Spencer Rattler. And then you can be able to pay Olave and Shaheed at the same time, because you don't have a quarterback on the book. You don't have to worry about Tallahassee Fuaga at the time, right? Because he'll still be on a rookie deal. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, you will have an opportunity to be competitive from 2025 and beyond. So I like the fact that the Saints aren't making huge commitments right now. I know we want to hear guys' names like Justin Simmons and stuff like that, but I can respect the fact that they're willing to kind of, sacrifice this year by not making big commitments or kicking the can down the road like they normally do. I can appreciate that. I think that's a smart move. I mean, because there's nobody on this team right now that's a seasoned veteran I feel like the Saints should be committed to long term. That includes the Mario Davis, that includes Cam Jordan, that includes Tyrann Mathieu. Like, seriously, like, do what the Green Bay Packers have done. Find your diamonds in the rough through the draft. You develop them. You find coaches that can actually that can develop players that have that reputation, and you go with that, right? And then if you do that enough, then you can really get yourself back to the middle, and you can really go and try to get yourself some veteran guys that can come in and make plays that accompany some of these young guys that you already developed in your system. I'm sorry. I know that people like the sexy names. I know we like the big names. I know we like the big money, but in reality, I'm a team builder. I'm trying to build a team. I'm not trying to have the cop squad. Like, seriously, I'm not the guy that goes to the court and see this dude over here and, he's shooting threes and making them every time. And all of a sudden I want him, and him. They call it cop down in New Orleans. Like, man, that's cop squad when I was growing up. Like, I ain't looking for the cop squad. I'm looking for the team that makes sense. Like, if everybody trying to shoot the ball, like, who getting the rebound? Like, who gonna play defense? Like, that's what I'm on. Like, sometimes you need two guys. Like, you playing, like, I don't know, you playing whole court, right? You need two guys that can shoot. You need somebody that's not afraid to catch the rebound, that's okay with being passive, right? Let me just get this rebound, dish it out to you, let you score. Then the other guy to play defense. Like, everybody ain't trying to like I can't have a team full of guys that shoot threes or trying to shoot the ball every time. Like, you ain't winning nothing with that. So I like to build the team on things that actually make sense. I appreciate what the Saints did with Shaheed, solid franchise lockup, their draft choices and undrafted free agent hits. This is good fate, bridge to a longer term deal later. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, Eugene, this is basically just to make sure nobody pilfers him. That's it. That's all this is. That they'll go back to the negotiating table once he has that magical season, which I expect for him to have, as long as he stays healthy. And can we give a shout out to Jerry G? He is the GOAT. I respect the hell out of this man. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Jerry, man. We already know Jerry is the most loyal and dedicated Saints fan I know. You know, he always popping up on different people's channel and he always supporting. And I know he supported me throughout the years, and I appreciate him. I let everybody know that. I definitely appreciate Jerry, you know, for his contributions and, you know, and just, you know, watching the show throughout the years. Like it means a lot. It means a lot, you know, for all of you, honestly, too, man. Like y'all can be watching somebody else, and you know, we basically an underdog channel around here. You know, we like the underdog channel. Like we competing with some of these other guys who, you know, around the team and got a little bit more access and all that kind of stuff. And then you gotta, you know, deal with this whole AI situation where, you know, because those people's name are in the algorithm more so that you fighting with them, you know, but you're you know, but there's a lot of people out there that support this show and have supported this show throughout the years. So, you know, I'm not knocking none of those people. Like they deserve that attention. They work extremely hard for what they've gotten and what they're doing. But we work pretty hard over here too. And I just thank everybody for supporting me and supporting this podcast. And we're gonna continue to do it. And we're about 100 subscribers away from getting to 11,000. And I remember that was just a pipe dream. I was just happy to see a few people in the chat. Now we, you know, have nearly 11,000 subscribers here on this channel. I'm blessed. I ain't about to hear any complaints from me. Say TJ, it's still cop. You heard me? Yeah, man. I don't roll with the cop squad. Yeah, and then they come out there, they think they're gonna win something. Then they end up be losing because y'all all trying to play the same way. Where the rebounders at? Nobody want to go under the rim. Because they go under the rim, then they're afraid they ain't gonna be able to shoot. And they still sitting on the side. TJ, folks who called the Saints cheap haven't been around long. They haven't been cheap. Yeah, I mean, look, all I'm saying is like with anybody that's saying this, let me finish this up. It says Saints' problem hasn't been how much they pay people, but instead who they pay. Okay, that makes perfect sense. I didn't mean to like not read your stuff, UJ, but when you said that, it just made me like just think about this. You got to think about the fact that how much guaranteed money these Saints, the Saints organization is giving these players. They ain't cheap, right? When you're basically converting these base salaries into signing bonuses, that is money that is being given to these players. So when people are like, man, they cheap. Like, no, they not. That is guaranteed money that Gail Benson is giving to these guys that at one time would have been base salary. So that means that they would have had to like, you know, rather, you know, and there's also incentives in place where they can actually get some of these things. But they are converting these contracts to give these dudes guaranteed money. Cheap ain't the word. Like you said, it's about who they're paying, Eugene. You know, when you're paying guys that don't give you a return on investment. You know, that's why you got to make sure you're doing your due diligence and understand the character of these players. Like some guys, like as soon as they get paid, they already, you know, they feel like they can just throw up two middle fingers and not care. Then you got guys that, you know, you'll pay them over and over and over again. They still gonna give you that production. Like Cam Jordan. You know, Cam Jordan throughout the years has had several contract extensions with the Saints. But you never second guess Cam Jordan. You never feel like he quit on plays. He may not always be as active in games, but you never said to yourself, man, Cam Jordan quitting out there. So there are certain guys that you can understand that. DeMario Davis is another one. But there are guys, you know, that come to the team and, you know, they act, you know, they play the perfect politician. They do amazing things on those rookie deals. And then when it's time to get paid, then all of a sudden, like they just, you know, just become mere shells of themselves. Now, I know some people going to probably say in the chat, and let me just go ahead and stop you. I'm not going to put Michael Thomas in that situation. Michael Thomas, it was just unfortunate that Michael Thomas had those injuries. And I guarantee you, if Michael Thomas did not get injured, like that $100 million that he got, I guarantee you people wouldn't even cared about it. It's just the fact that he got hurt. But he got in some cases, like if I could think back, like Albert Haynesworth, like the then Washington Redskins gave him all that money and he basically just quit. Didn't want to play. Wasn't interested. Just was happy to get that big paycheck. I mean, sometimes you got to do your due diligence, man, and see what these dudes be, you know, how their character is. I just keep it 100 when it comes to the Saints in season and out of season. Well, we appreciate it, Jerry. Since day one, Timothy. Yeah, Chemo. I appreciate that, man. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that have been here for a long time, you know, from the beginning, and I appreciate it. Man, I cannot say that enough. I really do. I really do appreciate it because, you know, like I said, I look at us as an underdog channel. You know, like I have no business. I have no business like doing some of the things that I've done, interviewing the people that I've interviewed. You got a lot of people that just feel like, you know, like we ain't legit. You know, every time, you know, if I say something like on social media or something, and all of a sudden people like, man, you ain't doing nothing, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, you ain't watched this show, right? I ain't just some dude that just sitting up here running his mouth. You know, we put a lot of work in, but you know, a lot of people they haven't been introduced to it yet. And that's fine, you know, but I appreciate the people that are here that support this channel and have since day one. And I appreciate it. And even if you wasn't here day one, I still appreciate you stopping by. Those are the players who are proud of the product they are putting on the field. And those are the players that you want, Juan. Those are the players that you want. You don't want somebody that just give up on plays and quit. TJ, no matter what happens on the field in the Saints this season, can we all appreciate that we're only a few weeks from all the cooking, family gatherings, and bonding that comes with game day? Who that? Yeah, man, I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about preseason. You know, I'm excited for the month of August. We'll be working with Bleacher Report again, covering all 3 preseason games for the New Orleans Saints. Be doing post-game shows for each and every one of those games. And you know, I want to see what Jake Hayner is going to do. I want to see what Spencer Rattler is going to do. I want to see what the safeties are looking like. I want to see maybe some Kool-Aid McKinstry and some of these other young guys coming in. Let's see what they can actually do. I'm looking forward to this. You know, what this new offense is going to look like. I know we're not going to see everything in preseason, but you know, seeing a little bit of motion and seeing what it can possibly be on a lighter scale. I'm excited to see that. I mean, I'm excited the fact that training camp is this week. You know, like that's exciting. You know, football is back, man. Once training camp and these guys report, I mean, football is back, man. And that's all there is to it. We definitely legit, and shout out to the Pac-Man, the co-host. Yeah, man. Shouts out to the Pac-Man. And yeah, man. Look, like I said, we know what we have over here. If you know you ain't watching this, then I don't know what to tell you. I think we have a lot of fun. I think we're informative. I think sometimes, you know, maybe people want to hear a certain perspective for the New Orleans Saints, you know, like they want to hear like mostly positive things all the time. And regardless to how things are going, they want you to like instill some level of like belief in like that's not my job, you know, like my job is not to instill belief in something that you should already have. Like I still love this team. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on and how I feel about it. And some people don't like that. Some people want to hear lies. And some people just want to hear like fabrications and embellishments, if you will. That's just not me. Like if it's worth talking and saying something positive about it, yeah, I'm going to sing the praises. But if it's something that needs to be criticized, we need to have that conversation. So I understand, like, you know, some people kind of get turned off by that situation. You know, some people like don't like the fact that, you know, I'm hypercritical of the team. You know, that's when people like, man, who are you? What you doing? Like, man, look at my resume. And like I am just as certified as everybody else that's covering that team. The reason why I'm not covering the team, to be quite honest, is that I'm honest. You know, like that's just the truth. I'm sorry. That's just facts. I'm part of the National Association of Black Journalists. I covered Coastal Carolina. I've covered the Senior Bowl twice. I've been to the NFL Combine. I've interviewed like every like major sports personality, probably, you know, that everybody watches on this show constantly. With that, like I feel like I'm certified to do everything, you know, that others are doing. But I'm not gonna lie to kick it. I'm just not. Just not gonna lie to kick it, man. Like, why would I do that? Like I built the State of the Saints podcast brand by just being unapologetically me. So why would I want to go out here and do that? And I think that eventually, like, things will work out for me. I mean, I never stepped foot in a facility, and I got to deal with Bleacher Report. I just got a new sponsor, Bet US. So brother doing eye for himself for somebody that ain't, never stepped foot in a facility because they don't want me to, and that's fine. TJ talks the truth. Ivan says no filter. Let's see. I hope so. Got to make sense for both sides. I don't know exactly what we're talking about there. I may have caught like that conversation a little bit late. I guess we're talking about Alvin Kamara, I assume. I want AK to have a huge year. Yeah, I think he will. I think this new offense will pay dividends for him. I think that it takes a smart, intelligent like guy that makes really good decisions to run the football in a wide zone. That's why I feel like Christian McCaffrey thrives so much. I mean, the guy went to Stanford, for God's sakes. So I think it's going to be like the same. I think it's going to be like the same thing. I think we're going to see like Alvin Kamara of old. Like I'm not buying this whole Alvin Kamara is washed thing. Like I'm not buying it. Bless you, TJ, the hardest working man in the Saints industry and others. Yeah, look, man, I just try to bring quality content. That's my goal. I want to see plays where AK is the one coming in motion and getting a head start. Yeah, I think you're gonna see I think you're gonna see a different style of play. Definitely. I know you're gonna see a different style of play. Talk your talk, Tim. Yeah, man. Look, like I said before, like I don't sit up here and just say all this stuff, but I mean, sometimes I just feel like I gotta say it because I feel like sometimes I be getting mad disrespected for some reason. Like I just do, But I don't sit up here and just be like, man, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But maybe I should, like maybe I should, because I mean I work just as hard as everybody else. Sometimes like I come in here bone tired, making 3-4 different videos a day. You know what I'm saying? Like to cover like certain, certain days of the week. Like I'm always constantly trying to find ways where I can, give quality content, information out there. And I always lead with with passion. Like I don't just try to just throw garbage out there. That's why I'm always trying to make sure, like, if I give you like Saints news, I know it'd probably be fresh off the wire. And that's probably one of the reasons why I think sometimes maybe views suffer, because I don't just jump right on it. Like sometimes like I just be trying to like process everything, or something might be going on personally. So but man, we know what we got over here. Like I said, I ain't dissing nobody, but I really feel like I'm one of the best podcasts out there, and it's because of people like you. We created this podcast and made it very interactive. And I think that a lot of different nuances of this podcast, other people have used in their podcast, and there's certain things that I say on here, and I'll go and watch somebody that's actually, supposed to be like mainstream or well-known to me, and they're saying it verbatim. So somebody watching, even though they might not want to give me credit. Sometimes, I feel like that. Yeah, y'all know, like they talk about those comedians, like the comedians they feel like ain't never gonna like be anything. So, they have like the big time comedians representative. They're going and hide in the back of the comedy club, taking people jokes. And then next thing you know, that small town comedian hear that on a major platform. You're like, man, that's my joke. And everybody like, nah, man, yeah, whatever, man. Nah, I told that joke the other night. Nah, dog, nah, it ain't your joke. Sometimes I do feel like that. I feel like, if my information is that good, then why can't I get opportunities to like express how I feel? But like I said, man, we ain't crying over spilled milk. Because like I said, that motivates me. Like I'm being honest, that motivates me. So anytime like I get angry or frustrated about a situation, I just try to go harder. No Diddy. My wife, the boy getting in trouble. My wife had another. My boy in the doghouse out there. Yes, sir. Give him his space. My wife had enough, boy. I'm sorry, man. I'm laughing, man. And Baxter, it's late, man. It's time to go to bed, man. And man, my wife, she didn't have enough, boy. Congratulations and thank you. Let's see, the Jamal Williams contract, just another example of front office disaster. I don't think that's a front office disaster, Ivan. I don't think it's a front office disaster. But I will say this. I don't think that you have the offense that actually fits Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams needs to be somewhere where you have a really good offensive line. Like, think about the places that he's been, okay? He was in Green Bay. Green Bay last season, they had a top 10 offensive line. I want to say they were ranked 9th. Then you look at the Detroit Lions. They had the number 1 offensive line in football last season. And I'm pretty sure they were in the top 10 the year that he played for them when he scored all those touchdowns. I just feel like the Saints don't really fit it because he's not that elusive running back. He's like one of those guys that got to find lanes, and I'm talking about that thing got to be wide open. Pause. But at the same time, like, I just feel like, he has to be able to, like, he's a one cut back. Like he's a one cut back. What's Trent Richardson? That's who he reminds me of. Like, Trent Richardson wasn't going to, like, make you miss or whatever like that. He was a one cut guy. He was a one cut guy. So at the end of the day, it's like, like that's the way I feel about it. Like, you got to have a above average offense, above average offensive line. I'm laughing at Jerry Common. Said Pac-Man, all right. Yeah, he all right. Hey, man, he's just in a doghouse, man. You don't want to go to sleep. But hey, man, he don't play around with my wife. I just found it funny. But anyway, yeah, he's like a one cut back type guy. I just don't feel like the offensive line of the Saints don't really fit, don't really fit him. Like, it made this year, but hey, I hate to say this, TJ, but Jamal would be nice out in Tampa. Yeah, like, he would be good in Tampa. He would be good in San Francisco. He would be good back in Detroit, Green Bay. I'm trying to look at some other offensive lines, probably in Baltimore. Like, the Saints offensive line was in shambles, man. Like, nobody could run through that. Like, not even AK. And AK has elusivity with him. He can make people miss. We know how slippery Alvin Kamara is. And he couldn't even, like, fight for extra yards in that. So, in my humble opinion, like, who gonna thrive in this? Who gonna thrive in it? Like, that offensive line was garbage. Sorry, fellas, but it's the truth. They were garbage. They were not good. So, I mean, how should anybody, like, look at these running backs and feel like they should do anything with this offensive line looking as bad as it was? Josh says, thank you for the $2. Says you missed a hell of a women's all-star game. Well, I'll check it out later, man. I'll check it out later. I don't feel like I'm missing anything, but I will say this, man. We're about to switch over to the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast. We're gonna go live there, and I'm talking a little bit about I got 3 topics. I'm talking about the Team USA game against South Sudan today. Talk about Stephen A. Smith on that bull, and like I said, Shaq Barrett retiring from football after he just recently signed with the Dolphins. So he really must, like, man, I ain't got nothing to play for. I mean, you won 2 Super Bowls, got paid, big time contract. No need to get your head bashed in no more than what you have to, right? So he decided to walk away from it. I ain't mad at him for that. But we're gonna be talking about that on the Gumbo Pie, man. Just want to let y'all know that. Yeah, that Stephen A. Smith stuff is crazy. And it's, like I said, for those that don't know, it's a different perspective, man. It's me just talking general sports. We got a segment up 32 teams in 32 days that we're doing. How many episodes? We've done like 12 episodes, right? So we done covered the NFC East, the AFC East, NFC North, and the next 4 episodes are going to be dedicated to the AFC South. So, man, I'm excited about it, man. It gives me an opportunity to learn about these teams and the things that they lack and things that they're trying to work on. So it involves like a lot of research, like learning about teams that you really don't follow as often. Like you kind of know the general the general topics of the team and what they dealing with, but they actually learn like the ins and outs and what they're trying to do to get better. It's actually pretty cool, man. It actually helps me to be able to be more effective in my talks when I'm talking football. So let's see. Kendra was an amazing pick. Yeah, I think so, man. Now, I think he'll be better. Like, I think that this year you'll probably see more out of him because, it's giving him an opportunity to kind of heal up a little bit. I mean, I just think that he had some injuries that kind of stem back from his time at TCU. I mean, I know that I think he tore his ACL coming out of TCU in that college football playoff versus Michigan the year before the year he came out. So. His daughter just died last year. That's why Barry retired. Wanted to be with his family. Yeah, I mean, look, he got everything. Like, what are you playing for? Like, you've been all pro. Like, you won 2 Super Bowls. Like, you done been, one of the top sack leaders. Like, you done got paid by 2 organizations. Like, what are you playing for? Like, might well just cut your losses, man. Like, you ain't gonna get no better than that. You're just not, If he can continue to play, probably be a football mercenary or something like that, like the latter part of his career, like Ndamukong Suh was. Somebody want to throw 1 year $16 million at you all guaranteed. Like, shoot, let me go out there and play. But there's no need for you to go out there, man, because if your heart is not in it, anybody knows this. You ever played the game of football? If your heart ain't in it, don't play. Because those hits, they hurt even more. Like, those practices are longer because you're not really into it. So it's best for him to step away. But we'll get into that, like I said, on the Gumbo Pod. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm not there. Here's the like and subscribe to on the Gumbo Pod. You heard me. Yeah, look, I appreciate everybody that stops over there. And also the comments. Comments. I read the comments like after the shows and videos that I do. And I appreciate that, man. I appreciate y'all like looking at, me from a different perspective and giving me opportunity to be able to, show something different, and that channel is growing. I'm starting to see a little bit, more people subscribing to it, more commitment to it. So, and I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all for doing it. I've been telling everybody about the Gumbo, TJ. Yeah, look, I appreciate that scrimmage. I really do. I thank y'all for that. I think, like I said, it'll be a fun channel, man, because like I said, once it starts to grow, we'll start to like see like different topics and stuff like that. And I mean, I know we all love football. I know we love the Saints, but we all love football. Like there are times where we all like probably just sitting up in here on a Saturday just like this, and if a college football game on, we talking about it like it's a Saints game. So we all love football. We all love like sports. Shouts out to my boy Big Q. I know he a big boxing fan. Like I'm a big boxing fan. So like I said, I wanted to start that channel because there's things about sports that I want to talk about. My bad. I'm definitely there. Yeah. I think I got to go regulate. But let me go ahead, man. Let me step away. We about to switch over to the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast. Thank y'all so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Once again, just switch over to the Gumbo Pod. We about to go live there in a few minutes after I see what's going on here. Like my wife is not happy. Like, she's not happy. Anybody like my wife is like the most well-mannered, quiet. Like just think about this. I've been doing this show 6-7 years. Never seen my wife on this show, right? Like if my wife is in a door and like she sees me talk, like she'll just be quiet, like she'll just point because she just don't want to talk. So if you if you hearing her, like she had her wits in. So let me go up here and regulate. But thank y'all so much. Till next time. All I gotta say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.